Live from the booth at Pops, it's time for the Riverdale Review!
So I had a dream the other night about Veronica. I haven't told you guys about that because I wanted to save it for the podcast.
Ew.
It wasn't even,
I'm so worried.
it wasn't like sexy or anything.
Wait, do you want to save it for the podcast then? Why are you telling us right now?
Because I'm gonna put it in the front of the podcast.
Alright, well then let's just start the show.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we're doing. You shut up and let me tell the story.
What? This is
Don't
okay,
you
fun.
usually yell things about getting to the booth at Pops? Or...
Yeah, I mean, I have like a whole spiel and everything, but alright, Cale's co-op at the beginning. Go ahead, fine. I'll do my spiel after your little sexy story.
Veronica, so we need to play it his way.
Yeah, that's right.
Alright, go ahead.
Would you shut up a second?
I miss one fucking show and they just take over, Gaby. Can you believe this?
Man.
Go ahead.
So I had a dream about dating Veronica, right? And it was Camila Mendez, and we went to the hospital
That's great.
see her grandfather, who was Ray Wise. He's Mr. Palmer in Twin Peaks. You've probably seen him in numerous things.
Stop now.
Wow.
Keep going,
Okay.
Keep going. I'm sorry. It's Twin Peaks.
No, that's fine.
I'm just scared.
There was a lot of kissing. That's all.
I thought you said it wasn't like,
It wasn't sexy, but it was, smooching.
So
that's all.
you went to see Leland Palmer and you made out with Veronica?
No. He wasn't Leland Palmer, but he was Veronica's. Like, the actor was Veronica's.
It's still Leland
grandfather.
Palmer.
So you made out with Veronica's grandfather. No?
See, this...
I misunderstood the story?
This is... You know what? This is my fault. This is my fault. I should have... I really shouldn't have even... I shouldn't have even brought it up.
So can I do the show now?
I might as fucking well.
All right, welcome back, pals, to another episode of the Riverdale Review. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my pal in podcasting, Mr. Cale Ward. I was gonna say Cale Lodge, but then all I could think of was Mendez.
You know what? I wouldn't.
Mr. Cale Mendez.
I wouldn't say no to that at all.
I'd take her name, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
I hope the name comes with those killer eyebrows.
Oh my god. Can you imagine?
I mean, when you've got that kind of money, you can pay to make your eyebrows that good. So,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, and then joining us here in the booth again is Gaby from the Nerd League.
Yes. Here to pass on judgment on the show.
Welcome back. Yeah, we had we had you on last time when there was a little bit of Betty outrage. We figured the beginning of her cam girl career was a good time to bring you back.
Oh man.
So yeah, this is a doozy of an episode. So before we get into all that, let's start the show off the way we always do by getting into our spoiler-free thoughts on the show. But before that, let me just real quick tell you where you can find the show. If you guys are audio listeners, please, give us a like on your platform of choice. If you're over on YouTube, you can like the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And then the best thing you can do if you really want to help us out is share it with your friends. You can follow at the Comics Pals anywhere your social media is sold. Stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at the Pals Network. And let us know your thoughts about, the latest episode of Riverdale. So, Gab, since you're our guest this week, why don't you start? What did you think about the episode? Chapter 25, I believe it was, The Wicked and the Divine.
So, I liked it. And I haven't said that I've liked an episode in a while. So, that's saying something. I do think that the episodes leading up to this were, okay, too. But I wasn't that into the whole statue thing. I don't know. I'm just going to say that I think that Riverdale does drama very well and mystery not so much. And I felt like here they focused on the drama and just the mess between the families. And I think that's what made it enjoyable for me. Yeah,
I would say I think I echo a lot of your sentiments there. I think particularly the last episode I thought was really weak. We were pretty hard on that one last week. And I thought leaving the first half of the second season, it was not in a great place either. It wasn't until we kind of came back from the break that I felt like the show kind of took an uptick. though not as much as I would have liked. So I think this episode really felt like a step in the right direction for me. I still don't think it was quite perfect. I think there was still a little bit of I had some issues with it that I guess we'll get into when we get to the spoiler full section. But overall, I did think it was a good episode, and I think it was the strongest one we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I think the focus on Jughead was very appropriate for where we are, and it finally feels right as far as that goes. The dynamic between Archie and Hiram this episode was really interesting, and Archie's whole conflict there was really interesting, but it just wasn't as engaging as Jughead stuff was this episode for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that overall. I think I've been into Archie's storyline in general lately. I think particularly this season, I think they did a really good job of making him a way more interesting character than he was in the first season, mostly by giving him things to do. So I do think that this entire storyline has been really interesting, and I'm interested, I keep using that word, I'm sorry, but I'm interested to see where it goes from here, just because I'm not 100% sure, like, where his loyalties lie right now and, like, what his true motivation is. So I'm excited to dig into that a little bit with you.
And you because the FBI agent might be a ghost, guys, don't forget.
I tell you what, he's not an FBI agent.
Well, yeah, so
Gab, can you explain that real quick?
So I was just like reading, stuff because I watched the episode on Wednesday or whenever, and I was just refreshing my mind, and there was like this hyperlink for where it says like alleged FBI agent, and I clicked on it, and the theory going around is that the FBI agent might be a ghost, and that I don't know. I guess they're trying to connect that with superpowers in Greendale or something. I thought that it was gonna go like down the line of, oh, this is like Archie's, like, I don't know, like subconscious, like speaking to him, or like he's, I don't know, because he's dating a con man's daughter. I'm just really confused by the whole thing. I don't think he's a ghost, but if he is, I'm gonna laugh so hard and probably stop watching the show.
Yeah.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? If he's a ghost, I'm in. I'm watching the next 17 seasons of this show. That's their jump the shark moment, and like I would be so excited to see how much crazier it could get.
Oh my god. But going back to the Jughead and Archie thing, it just felt that even though Archie's storyline was supposed to have higher stakes, the Jughead one still felt like more, like pressing.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. I think that's probably a good place to jump into the spoiler full discussion. So if you all haven't seen episode or chapter 25, now's your chance to bounce out before we spoil it for you. If you don't care about spoilers, feel free to stick around, obviously, or if you've already seen the episode, of course. And if you haven't and you're going to bounce out, we'll see you next week. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. And catch you next week on another episode of the Riverdale Review. So, where do we want to start this episode? There's lots of jumping around. I think we've already touched on the Hiram Archie stuff. That was kind of a major through line of the episode. What do you say we start there?
Sounds good.
Right.
Internships, not how I remember them.
Yeah, I don't. I've never had an internship quite like that, where I'm running and getting coffee and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess that's a pretty normal experience, right?
It's weird that ours, Pete, was worse.
Jeez.
Yeah, we don't talk about that though.
Yeah.
And not all my internships were bad. I had one really good one. It was nice. They let me be a real reporter. I covered a murder. It was fun. It was good times.
You could move to Riverdale.
Yes! I would be so qualified. They need someone to take over the blue and gold now.
True.
Maybe I could be a, teacher advisor kind of thing. I think it could make it work out.
I forget that we're not like high schoolers, so you have to be a teacher. That's so strange.
Yeah.
Boy.
I can't just re-enroll in high school.
I'm like, oh god, I graduated college.
What does it say that my first reaction to that was, oh yeah, I could totally work at Pops.
My reaction
you can
was,
work at
I'm not
Pops.
going to Riverdale. I would just do it.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like the whole thing, I I know that we're not supposed to really know what Archie's intentions are. And it's all murky with whether he's going to actually help the FBI agent or not, or if he's loyal. I mean, right now I think he is 100% loyal to Veronica, but the more stuff he uncovers, I don't know. Plus, I don't know how he's going to feel when he realizes how for the family business Veronica is. So,
with the, I just want to challenge that with the way this episode sort of ends with Veronica. How loyal do you think she is to that? Because I think this plays to Marco's theory that she's going to kind of try and start turning stuff, or she's just going to leave. To me,
I mean, that'd be cool. But at the same time, I just feel like right now, her biggest thing is protecting Archie and not so much like getting herself out. So, like, I think it would take a couple of seasons to actually see that come into fruition. Like her completely actually, spinning the
Taking
family
over
business or something. Yeah.
I don't know, just because, like, I feel like we got so many mixed signals. Like, I feel like it seemed like Archie was all in on this whole FBI thing, right? He got the deal for his dad. Like, it seemed like that was the strategy. And then, he takes this internship with Hiram. He stops answering calls. He finally gets cornered by this guy. He lies to him. He, like, reaffirms his commitment to, Veronica, but then also, like, intentionally makes her not tell him details so he doesn't know them, so he can deny things. Like, it seems like he's already gotten pretty far in with the FBI here for him to start lying to federal agents. Like, that's a big deal,
And that, his denial at the end of the episode, out loud in my own house, I went, Archie, what the fuck?
I know.
Like, this is the whole reason you're here.
And, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I really am not sure where he's at right now. Like, what he's really even thinking. And, I think the thing that Cale brought up in terms of, like, with Veronica maybe, turning her back on the family business, as it were, like, I don't know that that's out of the question, because I definitely thought that confirmation scene where she was looking at Archie and, everything else is dark and he's light,
So
and then
dramatic.
she's bathed in this. Yeah, obviously, yeah. And that to me was very much like, okay, this is obviously a signifier of her saying, like, she renounces the devil. I do feel like that was supposed to be a metaphor for her perhaps renouncing her family's legacy, right? Of, like, she doesn't want to get Archie involved. She doesn't want to see him corrupted, but she doesn't want to give up on him. So what's the alternative there is, like, maybe walk away.
And she's also not very convinced by her aunts and her grandma and, like, all these women of the family talking about the things they do to feel better about what their husbands do for a living and whatnot. But I think that the tension here is that it's not only whether or not Veronica's going to turn on her family, or if she's, like, climbing up to kind of get the lodges themselves out of the whole mafia situation they've got going on. But then on the other hand, you also have Archie kind of, like, I feel like he likes feeling included in the family, and that even though Hiram is a monster, he, gets a boost, like, from his approval and likes getting close to Veronica's family in general. So maybe it'll get to a point where, Archie will start becoming corrupted as Veronica's trying to come out of the corruption, and then what happens there. So, I don't know. It could go either way.
Yeah, I think either of those are totally possible. And I think, the question that was raised before of, like, what happens if Archie figures out, like, how involved she is or how complicit she is, I think that could either be a catalyst for him being upset that she's been lying to him, or it could be a reaffirmation of that he needs to lie to the FBI.
Yeah, who knows? Either way, he's already delivered drugs. Things are doing great, going great for him. So
yeah, he's gotten into some.
I had to think about that.
He had a gun at one point.
Oh yeah,
slept with his teacher.
I'm still not 100% convinced they were drugs. It had some weird Cthulhu writing on the box, so I'm still, I think they might have been delivering some kind of spook.
It was maple syrup.
Yeah, maple syrup. That's what it was.
How we grow in Riverdale.
Real quick, how fucking weird is it that Veronica's getting confirmed and she's like 16 or 17 or whatever? Like, I know that they were like, oh, like we wanted the like priests or whatever, but like I thought that was just so strange.
I wonder, and you know, I obviously am in no form Latinx or Hispanic at all, but like I wonder if it's some weird Riverdale twist on like a bar mitzvah or like a quinceañera.
Oh, huh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like it's the mob equivalent.
Yeah.
So as your actual Latin American on the podcast and Catholic, I mean, confirmations are like not that big of a deal. Like they are a big deal, but I mean, I understand that for like a mafia family, like they might want to, you know, up that because it has different meanings for them. But you used to do your confirmation around like 16 or so. I did mine super late, like I did it in college, because you usually do it through your school, and if it doesn't work out, then there's not really a moment where, because you have to go through like these classes and stuff before you get confirmed. So, you know, that could get like lost and whatever. But it was strange, for example, that she like got confirmed by herself. Like usually it's a group of people, and that's why it's hard, because you have to like join the group that's getting confirmed. So it was like almost a weird like debutante ball mixed with, you know, like
I feel like that's pretty large standard though.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because, you know, it was like they had like all the mob family showing up, and then it was like, that was one of the things I wrote in my notes. I was like, what the fuck is this event where like you're singing Bittersweet Symphony at a Catholic church?
Yeah.
And then it's like Josie's up on stage, and then she like walks down the aisle like a bride or something. And I was like, what is happening?
But I have to say that, you know, I was like very upset about the Tears for Fears song, because they like didn't even refer to it as a Tears for Fears song. But, you know, as a 90s kid...
That song from Donnie Darko.
As a 90s kid, I'm very protective of Bittersweet Symphony. And I was like, okay with this. Like, it sounded okay. I don't know. I didn't want to kill myself as I was watching it. The scene itself was like, stop, but like their singing of it wasn't bad. And Betty wasn't dancing.
This performance of it was actually halfway decent.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, like it was fine. I think like I really hate when they sing on this show, because like the production of the music is like all exactly the same, and I hate it. Like, and this is just like the music snob in me, but like why do they put so much fucking reverb on everyone's voices? Like everything sounds so airy and like it just sounds so fake. Like no one sings like this in a live setting. It's not possible, for starters. But then it was like, I was making fun of them last week when it was like, oh yeah, that's the sound you're getting out of this one shitty microphone at the town hall thing in a gazebo. Who did the sound for this? But on this, they're not even using microphones. They're just singing in a church, and it's like, it sounds like it's freaking vocals on, you know, like a Broadway like recording of something. You know, it's like, come on.
And with that one, they could have played more like on a choir kind of sound, you know, because it's a church.
Like something that's a little more naturalistic.
The structure lends to that, but you know, Jesus.
Yeah, I sort of bought the church angle. Because I did think about what you said, Pete, and I did kind of notice it and tried to pull it apart. This one I sort of bought, because it also, to me, within like the canon of the show, it also completely makes sense that Riverdale would have like a giant cathedral, and no matter what you sang in it, it would sound good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. That's just like, that's definitely me being nitpicky, but it's a thing I think of like every time people sing on this show. I'm like, why are they so perfectly mixed? You know, like it's, but yeah, I will agree with you though, Gab, that like, I think this was one of the better, arrangements that they've had, like in terms of just how they treated the song, for sure. But yeah, so I guess
it's a Betty time.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're kind of like bouncing around a little bit, but yeah, let's bounce back up to what's going on with Betty, right? So
you think Betty first? I feel like her cliffhanger should be the end.
But the episode started with her weird webcam stuff, right?
Yeah. I figure we'll do all the end stuff at the same time because we didn't even touch on all the end stuff of the Archie Hiram stuff. So
yeah,
let's we'll go through all the main plot stuff and then we'll talk about the cliffhangers.
Sounds good.
So with Betty, we kind of pick up with her, with what appears to be her, acting as a cam girl, as Dark Betty. She gets interrupted by her mother, and that's kind of all we really got there. When we were off mic, though, you guys were talking about some theories, so I wanted to throw it to you both real quick to, just what were your thoughts on this so far?
Yeah, I just felt like she changed too fast, which made it look like that might have not happened, like it might be her imagining it. But there's another point, now that I'm thinking about it, where she's talking to Chic, and he's all like, oh yeah, never give them your address or whatever. And she makes it sound like she already does this regularly. And,
Yeah, I had the same
thing
impression.
with the bug hit situation where she paused and she was going to say something, which I'm assuming is that confession. And she didn't go through with it.
Which confession?
She paused. She's, a webcam girl now, I guess.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the her kiss with Archie.
See, that was my original thought, but then I agree with Gaby though. I remember
I would have forgotten about that if I were her. I'd be like, more pressing issues.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when he asks her, "Have you done anything with anyone else since we broke up?" and she lies, that to me, I thought Archie. But at the end, when she's like, "I have to confess something," my thought was the cam girl.
Yeah,
stuff as well.
exactly. I think it's everything.
Fair.
Betty's just like, I'm sorry.
To me, I guess I don't see the cam girl thing as like a doing something with somebody.
No.
Within the context of the show that she would want to confess in line with, that question throughout the episode.
Right, but what Gaby was talking about was at the end.
Right. No, that's
she and Jugger. Oh, okay.
She says, no, wait, I have something to tell you, and then our assumption was, oh shit, she's going to talk about Archie. Please don't do that when you're about to start fucking. Don't do it. To me, the cam girl thing didn't even come into the equation because it's something wholly unconnected from Jughead. And
I don't know. Yeah, I'm with Gaby on this one. I definitely read it that way.
Definitely when he confronted her, I thought Archie too, especially because she was uncomfortable, but I didn't feel like she was uncomfortable because of the webcam thing. I felt like she was uncomfortable because it was Archie of all people, and she didn't want to say, it was Archie that I did something with. I think that by the end of the episode, I had also kind of forgotten that he didn't know and was just focused on the webcam thing, because Archie did tell Veronica to not tell her about the FBI thing, but
Yeah. So speaking of Jughead, the other kind of thread this episode was about what's going on with the serpents, right? Is that last episode we have the brass head stolen from the statue in town of
Bronze. Bronze.
Oh, Bronze, thank you. What the hell was that guy's name?
Pickens,
thank you.
T-Boone Pickens. No,
T-Boone Pickens.
It wasn't T-Boone Pickens. It was Pickens.
Oh.
That guy.
Well, I like that. I liked T-Boone. But yeah, so the Pickens statue gets decapitated, right? Sheriff Keller's been kind of harassing the serpents, and specifically Jughead and FP, and trying to figure out what's going on. And then, basically he shows up with eviction letters for everybody. It's coming down from the mayor. They've got 14 days to basically he says that they they're getting evicted in 14 days, but if they find the head, that might kind of relieve some of the pressure or whatever. But we end up finding out through the episode, right? Jug goes to Mayor McCoy and tries to confront her about it. And she's literally she goes, "I've always liked you. You're a smart kid. So listen to what I'm about to tell you. Back down. Stop sniffing around this issue."
I mean, that's after Jughead figures out her whole game without her saying a single word. He's just looking at her and he's like,
yeah.
Oh, I see. And she's like,
yep.
I've liked you. Go away.
I loved that. Just that moment of him where he's like, "Someone put you up to this. It was Hiram, wasn't it?" And she's just like, "Stop. You are so above your pay grade now."
This episode did a really good job, though, of making me angry with Jughead.
I know.
Was that like why specifically?
Oh, like, especially, like, in the first Serpent meeting, you know, Tallboy busts in and he's like, it was your article that... What? Are you telling me this town doesn't have a second newspaper to read?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's two newspapers, Cale.
With the amount of, like, anger that his high school newspaper article caused, that, like, it just...
It
was
like
so
all
frustrating.
The adults are sitting, like, waiting to see what their teenage kids have to say about the town, and then that's when they, like, make decisions.
Yeah.
The Blue and Gold is a reputable newspaper, you guys. It's broken a lot of big stories, okay? But yeah, so, like, we see Tallboy this whole episode, right? Like, throwing shade, and then we find out that he's working with, you know, with Hiram and with Penny to kind of like orchestrate this whole like coup against FP and Jughead so that he can ideally take over the Serpents and all that stuff. So like, what did you guys think about this like whole kind of return of Penny and like where this is going from
I like
here?
Penny. She's an interesting character, but I'm going to go back to what I said about Riverdale being good with drama and not so good with mystery. Like, throughout the episode, it was so, like, by the time Jughead went to, you know, they found the actual head and was, like, asking questions, it's like you already knew it was going to be Tallboy. And that's, like, what I hate. Like, they did the same thing with the Black Hood. They did the same thing with Clifford. It's like, why do you give it away before? Like, just wait for the fucking reveal. Like, it's really exasperating. Yeah. But yeah. I like Penny. I think her character's interesting. And there's not like a lot of female high power within the Serpents. And she's also like not really allied to anybody. So she's really a wild card. And now that she's back, and you know, maybe the whole Jughead scraping off her tattoo was a little too psychopathic for
boy.
Yeah, like maybe
a little.
I was really curious as to what was going to happen.
And then nothing.
With Jughead in that situation. Yeah, and then nothing happened. Like, what's FP going to agree to in this situation? Like,
I mean, FP was just like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't race you to be this way. And then he's like, all right, I didn't race you. Like, I was gone the whole time. So, you know, you were sleeping in the fucking... What was it, like,
but even still, Jughead, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, I love how he's just like, what are you doing? It's like, you're cutting people, like, you're, like, carving up women, like, what? You can't come back from that, man.
And then he's just like you can't come back from, like, you know, whatever it was that he said exactly about Jason. Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay.
Right, like, hiding his body or whatever.
Okay, shots fired.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I guess, but like you're in high school.
Right, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and then FP had the one line that I wrote down where he's like, you know, he says like, you'll be the death of us. You know, it's like he blames Jug for bringing the North Side down on them and everything. And I guess I wanted to ask, like, what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that there's any merit to that Jughead is kind of responsible for giving the powers that be an excuse to do this, or do you think this was going to happen anyway?
Go for it.
I do think this was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
I do think it's convenient that Jughead is there and like is there to take the blame, but yeah, this was always coming.
Yeah, I think that also Jughead is taking the steps that need to be taken for them to actually get somewhere. And of course, at the beginning, it's messy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, like, it's not going to go smoothly. You're not going to be able to fix the Serpent situation without, you know, shedding some blood and getting your hands dirty. And I give him credit for doing what he feels he needs to do, even if it angers people, even if he gets on his dad's bad side. And FP was hella proud when he came back with the head and like knew, like had figured out everything. And then I also loved, even though I didn't like how she got like her VIP access, but I loved how they were like, oh, why is this like North Sider here, whatever. And then he's like, she's one of us. And I'm like, damn straight, she did your weird ass dance. Yeah. So you don't get to kick out Betty Cooper. Also daughter of a serpent, whether she wants to deny it or not. will bring
Absolutely.
me to my house here.
Yeah, well, we'll circle back to that in a second, because we are going to talk a little bit more about Betty's storyline. But I do want to wrap up the talk about Jug with what happened with him and Betty, right? We got kind of the return.
I'm a Bughead shipper
Bughead,
again.
You know, I know, I'm right there with you. This
I like
made me
Jughead
really
again.
happy.
He carved people, but I like him again. It's so confused.
Listen, like, we've all read The Outsiders. There's nothing wrong with liking a slick-haired boy with a leather jacket who stabs people as long as his heart is pure. Stay gold, Jughead. Stay gold. But yeah, so like, I was happy to see this. You know, I thought my favorite line was, I remember Betty said, she goes, "We." It's nice to hear that again. And I was like, you're right.
Oh, I
It
thought
is nice to hear that
you were gonna say your favorite line was when she goes like I want all of you.
I want you, Jughead. I want all of you. And I want it tonight.
It's like, oh my god. I literally just wrote I wrote, oh my god, Jesus, the sex. I can't handle it.
But they always give you like 3 seconds of Jughead and Betty scenes like that, but then with Archie and Veronica, it's like this whole thing all the time.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people online talk about how Archie and Veronica don't actually have a ton of chemistry. And I think this episode, I liked what they had, but there have been quite a few times looking back that I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
I think that the reason that Bughead became so famous, like at the beginning, is because the Archie Veronica thing has always been a little weaker. Like when Archie says like, oh, like I love you, whatever, you don't really like buy it. Like when Jughead and Betty are fighting, you're like, oh my god, they're never going to be able to fix their lives. Like this is it. Like, you know, everything's collapsing.
Yeah, I just feel like their relationship is more compelling too, though, just because, like, I think to the point you just made, like, I feel like Archie and Veronica's relationship in the beginning was, like, very much about lust, and then, like, they fell in love, you know, whereas, like, Jughead and Betty's relationship has always been, like, the big romance story.
And Veronica and Archie at this point also seem to have a due date almost, because there's like this shitstorm coming, whereas the Betty and Jughead thing, it's like they've already had all of their stuff, and like, you know, that they're just gonna keep on, you know, riding the wave whatever comes. Whereas, you know, like Veronica will bail or Archie will bail as soon as shit hits the fan, I think. Or some...
Yeah, and I mean, I think the beginning of their relationship, there was no drama because they weren't super invested with each other, and it was just them having sex all the time, you know. And I feel like the like Jughead Betty relationship is treated with a lot of tenderness and a lot more intimacy. Like it's more about the romance of their relationship versus the heat, you know. And I think like we kind of saw Veronica and Archie's relationship evolve to take that place when Bughead broke up, but now that they're back and there is this tension in Archie and Veronica's relationship, I think we'll probably see that pendulum swing back.
Bughead back to the top.
Bughead for life!
Oh, I ship this so
happy.
Much. I feel like I hate them half the time, but it's so good, so bad.
It's good.
Also, they're dating in real life.
Yeah, and that's super sweet. Like,
hey,
come on.
That adds to the chemistry for sure.
It does. It does. Like, and I feel like they have that Romeo and Juliet, right? Like, oh, like she's the sweet, smart girl next door, and he's the, you know, fucking sensitive poor boy from the wrong side of the tracks. And it's like, that's the shit that romance novels are made of. Come on.
But that's exactly...
that's the Notebook. That's literally the Notebook.
Don't Nicholas spark this for me.
But it's good.
Off. Get out.
Yeah.
Kicking you out of the booth. Pops, don't let her back in here.
I'll go eat at the other restaurant in town.
Which one? What other restaurant?
Fair. That's a good point.
That's the new one.
Pops let a mobster hold a poker game in the only restaurant in town.
I mean, he didn't let him. He's his boss, remember?
I mean, yeah, sure. Hiram Lodge owns it, but like, that's still kind of weird.
Like, Hiram's a monster, but when like his friends are attacking Pop, then you're just like, listen, no attacking the dude here.
Yeah.
And dude, I loved that. Where he's like, apologize. He's like, for what? And he's like, you insulted Pop Tate. He's like, apologize.
Hiram Lodge is a mobster, not a monster.
I get you. All he's doing is for the good of his family. Blah blah blah.
No, it's I think like getting to see the more mobstery side of him was fun this episode.
Yeah,
like getting
especially
to see him
with
with his
Archie
mobster
there
buddies.
and Archie cleaning the toilet and overhearing conversations.
That was lucky, huh? Like
So convenient.
How did that phone call play for you guys?
Which one?
The big one where Hiram calls to put out the hit on Papa Poutine or whatever his name is.
Oh, it was so short.
Yeah, it didn't play for me. Like this was supposed to be sort of Hiram's big villain moment, right? And I was just like, all right.
You know what? I would have cut earlier from that scene. Like, if you couldn't pull it off, I would have just let it at him picking up the phone, and then it's like, okay, like Archie hears that this guy showed up dead from the FBI agent, and then I would have just left it at that. Like, it was kind of weak that they had him say like a couple of things, and they didn't really, have any impact.
That shot. Where
that music is like super dramatic.
Well, he picks up the phone and he's got the picture of Veronica bathed in the light, on one end, and then the window with all the darkness coming in the other. It's just like, this isn't very good.
Yeah, it was weird because I didn't get that vibe from that scene. Like, I know that was the intent based on how it was shot, but I very much got it more from I felt like it was more like, it reminded me of this, like, there's this Rolling Stone song, right, where there's this line about a mobster who, is this really scary guy, but when he goes home to his family, he's just a family man. And, that was kind of the vibe I got from it, of, it is supposed to be this dark, sinister moment, but for Hiram, it's just another day in the office.
Well, you see, that would have worked if they would have played that song in the background, but they didn't.
Yeah, instead, they play this super, heavy, dramatic, classical piece, and it's, shot at this weird angle, and it's all intense, and, yeah, it didn't land for me either.
Did you watch, wait, let me not get these messed up, I think, Kingsman? Yeah, it is Kingsman. Well, there's just, a part where it's, very violent, but they're just playing, this, I even forget, what the music was, and I think that it's either a song that has no lyrics or one of those songs that has a really long, just musical intro.
Right.
But basically, all these people are blowing up, and the music is just super uplifting. And I just feel like if you can't really dive into the darkness, then you should do something like that. Either play they could have played that Rolling Stone song or something like that. That is just really offbeat with what's actually happening. And I understand why you would even misread that scene. To me, I felt I knew that was what he was doing just because Riverdale is predictable, and from a narrative standpoint, I was like, okay, now he's gonna go do that because what else would he do?
And the symbolism was so heavy-handed.
Yeah,
it's not subtle at all.
Yeah.
So it's even if you don't feel the moment, they're hitting you over the head with what you're supposed to feel, you know?
And to that point, I've sort of gotten a little tired of Jughead's narration too, especially over times with Chic. I just like it. Oh God, that name.
Chic.
That is a relic from the Archie comics. They probably should have fixed.
It just his narration is just so heavy-handed that it's telling us how to feel, and I'm a little tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been very hit or miss for me. When it works, it really works, but I feel like it often comes off as kind of schlocky.
I think it also works more at the end of the episode because you've already felt what you're supposed to feel, and he's just kind of wrapping it up for you.
Yeah.
But when it's at the beginning, and then he's just saying all this stuff and setting up the mood, that's when you're kind of I just want the actual show to do the work, not for you to tell me that this is the scene we're setting up.
Yeah, that's when it feels like a very lazy plot device, that's the bad opening to every shitty, romantic comedy or whatever, bad, my life was flipped upside down when this thing happened. And it's I feel like that was very much, it's you don't need to tell me that Archie's oh, it's a tale's old as time. The rich mobster takes the small town boy under his, I'm watching it. I'm seeing it happen. You don't need to can tell me. It's okay. I get it.
This show's just so much sometimes. But
Yeah, like, extra is definitely the word I would use to describe it. But, I mean, like, that's both to its, like, detriment and also usually it's great. Like, that's its greatest strength sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
like, you know, it was super extra, but was actually kind of great when Mayor McCoy goes over to the lodges to, like, apologize.
yes.
And Josie's just there, like, kill me now. Like, I do not want to be here. And then it's, like, this fake-ass apology. And then
It was
and
so
then she's,
weird.
like, offering this gift, and the gift is, like, Josie's voice. Like, what the fuck? Like, buy her jewelry or something. How can
For
you
real.
gift? Like, you're gifting your daughter's performance?
Yeah, I thought that whole, like, the power dynamic there was so weird.
On this, the day of my daughter's coronation? What is it? Conviction? Wait.
Whoa. Conviction.
Quinceanera?
Confirmation.
Oh, that's the
Right.
one.
But yeah, they kept trying to mirror The Godfather, and it's like Riverdale. Stop mirroring Godfather. Stop mirroring Twin Peaks. Like,
Just be Archie.
exactly. Like,
But if they were mirroring Archie, we wouldn't be here. So,
Yeah,
This is
it's
true.
probably true. All right, so the last thing is kind of rewind it back and walk through the rest of what's going on with Betty, right? So we got some kind of small developments with the rest of the family, you know, like aside from what was
small
really going on.
developments.
Yeah, just some little ones. So Chick had an interview at the house
Yeah,
where he was in a
bad
bathrobe. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird.
is that not how you guys interview?
Dude,
Well-
the job market's hard right now, so you just gotta do what you gotta do, I think.
But like,
I mean, that internship you and I did, that's how I did it.
yeah, that's fair. But like, what was the deal there? Because like, they said that it was. They made a comment later in the episode too about what the job was for. Like, do you guys remember what it was for? It was like at some hotel or something, right? Like,
yeah,
The Bijou?
yeah,
Yeah,
it had a weird name, and I didn't know what it was, and they didn't explain.
It
was just like
the dude came down and he was wearing like a blue polo and like a name tag. So that gave me an impression of like a sort of carnival food stand or something. Maybe the other restaurant in town.
sure.
That
It
we've
was just
never
weird.
seen.
I mean,
It was
yeah.
just weird to me because, like, well, I mean, to be fair, in the first season, there was another high school we had never heard of or seen.
This is true.
But yeah, I was just like, Betty, the investigative reporter who seemingly solved like two major crimes, like, doesn't think it's weird that her brother had an interview at their house in a bathrobe.
Well, she's Dark Betty now, so
Yeah, I think she had an idea of what was going on and she thought it was weird.
I mean, yeah, and then when she calls him out about it, like, you know, he gets all weird about not having clients over. So, like, I don't necessarily think he was a client, but it's just like, who was this guy? Like, what's going on there?
well, and then we would have to answer the question: who was the second guy? Right.
Right, yeah, right. The guy who shows up later, right? And it's like, all we see about him is he's got this bleach blonde hair and, like, you know, he's some spooky dude shows up. And then when Betty shows up later, he's murdered.
Is
And,
Chick home? That's it. Next
yeah.
thing you know, Alice Cooper is bringing in all of her Twin Peaks power, and she's
Yeah,
just
I love how
like,
she's just like, did you shut the door?
she's like even like calm about it. She's like, Elizabeth, did you shut the door? Like, Elizabeth. She has time to say her whole name.
This is
Yeah.
this is Alice, I think, in full serpent mode. She's like, all right,
Yeah.
we
I've
murdered
seen
this
this shit
guy. Let's
before.
clean up the fucking blood. We got to get this body
Right.
out of here.
Yeah,
If
so...
I were her, I'd run like some DNA test on this kid before I like completely take all these bullets for him. But also, the
She-
DNA test would show that, in
it's
my
a
opinion, he is not
her and
Hal's
FP's
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. So, Gab, you have a theory about Chick's parentage. Why don't you fill us in?
This is my Reddit time, even though I'm not on Reddit really.
This is your Reddit theory. Well, give us a good one. We'll make a clip out of it, and we'll get all the views for it. So make sure. Come on, sell your theory here.
Visit thenerdleague.com if you're listening to this.
All right. You can take your theory and we'll put it and we'll post it on the Nerd League. Okay. And we'll both get the views.
Fine. Anyways, the point is, we've had this conversation about how there's like a weird thing between FP and Alice, and there's definite chemistry, and there have been sex jokes, like when she picked him up after he got out of prison, and all this stuff.
Yes.
So, it's not out of the question that they have been. Also, he knew a lot of stuff about Hal and Alice fighting back in the day during their talent show. And I'm not saying that Chick necessarily has to be FP's kid, although that would be very Gossip Girl. But, I just think that, when they bring him in, before Hal finds out that Chick is a webcam boy, he tells Alice, he can't be here, why? And I'm just like, why what? What's the why? Because it's not your kid, so you can't see him? Is that the one? I don't know. That's my running theory. Doesn't have to be FP, but it's definitely not Hal's kid.
I thought this was going to be good, Pete. You told us this was going to be good. I said this the whole time.
When did you say this, Cale? You just claim every
season
theory.
2, episode 1? Season 2, episode 2?
I said this when I came on the show the first time, and I said I'd come back if it was ever proven. I can't tell you exactly what minute I said that in, but I said it.
Well, I think the beauty of it here is that it hasn't been proven yet, so now we have you locked in for a third episode. Is that when they do, if it's proven right or wrong, then we're going to have to bring you back on.
Okay, but I'm clarifying. It doesn't have to be FP's kid, but I definitely think it's not Hal's.
No, there's no way it's Hal's.
Yeah. No.
Plus, at no point has she said, because you know how Alice gets, and she hasn't said one time, do you have, no interest for your son, or, do you not care about your kid? She hasn't, made that connection, which petty Alice would have very early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, even this episode, right? She says, oh, well, you could try to get to know him. She doesn't say, you could get to know your son.
Yeah, which would have earned her, would have added to her argument, and she just didn't say anything.
Yeah, I'm 100% in the camp that this is the kid that Hal wanted her to abort.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right, so getting to the wrap-up here, we already kind of talked about, Veronica and Archie's, little kind of reaffirmation of their relationship. I don't think we need to touch on that. The real kind of, wrap-up moments, right, are, after Archie makes the reveal, Hiram makes the call, Agent Adams goes and confronts Archie back at his house and is kind of you've been avoiding my calls and, I need to talk to you because Papa Poutine was shot in the back of the head, And obviously we know that Hiram is the one responsible here for this hit.
Obviously Archie knows.
Right, yeah, and Archie lies to protect him. He says he doesn't know anything. And so I guess I want to ask you both, do you feel like this is for Veronica? Or is it to protect Hiram because he's on his side now?
I think it's for Veronica with Hiram as a benefit.
I think he's just starting to see Veronica as a unit, her whole family is a thing that he has to protect. And I guess at that moment he must have thought if I out Hiram, then that affects Veronica, and I'm in no position to. If Archie were rich and everything comes crashing down and he manages to save Veronica, then he'd be okay, I can provide for her, whatever. But he would probably not feel comfortable just breaking down, everything that sustains her and just, leaving her, parentless because both of her parents would probably wind up in jail. Maybe even herself, some juvie time. But, another thing we didn't touch on about the information that Archie had, how when he was overhearing the conversation, they mentioned how Fred was sleeping with Hermione, and he didn't seem to really care about this information. He just focused on.
Well, he knew that already.
Did he know? 100%.
Yeah. I remember it came up in season 1. They find out that they were sleeping together, and then I think it was an episode or 2 ago where Hiram and Archie are arguing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it was the last episode. It's the one where they're like fighting the whole episode. And I remember one of the things he says is that like, oh, like, you know, your father slept with another man's wife. Like, how am I supposed to know that you're any different than him?
This is
You
true.
know, and he's like, I'm not my father.
Right,
you know?
right, you're right.
Yeah.
Still,
So he
could have
definitely
been
knew.
a little
He knew.
affected. He's just so caught up with this whole thing.
I feel like he was like very much just like deer in the headlights of just like, oh shit. Like,
Yeah.
this went from like playful banter to being like, these guys are like, you know, throwing shade right now. Like, this is uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, and when a few minutes before Archie overhears the threat, that was when Papa Poutine starts asking Archie who, you know, his name and who he was, and that the Andrew's name sounds familiar. And that's when Archie starts really getting interested
In the convo,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, and I that whole scene was like very uncomfortable. Like, seeing where it went didn't surprise me at all. Like, you could tell that there was real tension there already, you know, like from the beginning, but it kind of turned really quickly. And then, you know, the episode ends with you know, Veronica gets one last gift. They open up and it's the brass head, right? So obviously that's a message from the Serpents. They know that Hiram was involved.
I'm kind of surprised that's all it was. I half expected it to be Papa
Like,
Poutine's head or something.
Me too.
So, like, I feel like those are just, they're disconnected. You know, like, the Serpents are sending that as a message of, like, we know what you did to try and
Right.
disrupt us. Whereas, like, the murder, like, I don't know that anybody in town knows about it, except
No,
for
for sure.
cops.
And the it being the statue's head makes complete sense.
Right.
I just like, you know, it's a very mobster thing to do, to put, you know,
And
to send a
also,
message
like,
to put the
a
other.
couple episodes before, we were getting, like, fingers delivered, you know, to Betty's house. So I guess you're just expecting body parts at this point.
All the impact's been taken out of it for me,
I
you
know.
know? Like,
Also, Game of Thrones has me so, like, desensitized. I'm just like,
yeah, violence just doesn't do it for me. Like, unless there's, like, severed heads, it's just like, whatever. Come on.
I mean, that was a severed head. It was just not available.
There was blood and everything on the statue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
that's true.
dramatic. Like, you see, that's extra. Like,
Yeah, oh my God.
Okay.
See, in that, I really thought it was Cheryl last episode because of the blood. I was
Which,
like, ooh,
by the
that
way,
girl
like-
would.
Yeah, by the way, it never came back whether, like, Cheryl was a creep or not after she was, like, drawing Josie. They just dropped that whole line. Like,
I'm sure it's gonna come up again, but yeah, it was like, they were, like, we were following that storyline for, like, 2 episodes, then all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, she's got other stuff going on right now.
yeah,
Like,
like,
whatever.
now she's gonna attack, like, the kids from Southside High, and that's her
Yeah.
new job, and getting the
And
check
Josie's
back.
just, like,
and
suspiciously absent for that entire thing.
I know.
Just, like, not involved.
so weird.
Yeah.
Great episode,
So,
great times.
But any closing thoughts on this one before we wrap it up?
If the rest of the season is like this, I'm down.
And I'm so
Yeah.
a Bughead shipper.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh my god. So happy for the return of Bughead, and yeah, I agree with you, Cale. I hope that the rest of this season can maintain the quality we saw here, because I think, you know, we've been saying the last couple episodes, it's felt a lot like they're building blocks. You know, they're setting a lot of pieces up for what was coming. And it feels like this is the first episode where we're really starting to get some returns on some of that build-up. So here's hoping that they maintain that momentum for the 7 or 8 episodes we got left.
So, yeah. And that they don't, like, you know, in the last 3 episodes give everything away before the reveal, because that's what kills
Oh,
me.
girl,
about
you know they
Riverdale.
will.
Girl,
you know
no
they
way!
So stressed.
Yeah, so fingers crossed on that one.
6 episodes before the finale, we're going to find out who Agent Adams is. 4 episodes before the finale, we're going to find out who the Black Hood actually is. 3 episodes, we're going to find out what Hal's been up to, if those 2 aren't already connected. And then
Oh, boy.
the episode before the finale, we're going to find out what Chick's endgame is.
Yep. And then in the final episode,
We're
Like-
gonna have to pretend to be all surprised.
Crossover with Sabrina.
hey, that's
And
what
then
I
we're
was going to
good.
say. It's just going to be Sabrina. Curtains closed.
Yep. Yeah, Sabrina and Archie team up to bust some ghosts.
Which is
I watched that.
FBI agent Adams.
Yeah, absolutely. And also Hal. Bum,
Who's
bum, bum.
also a ghost.
He's-
Okay.
He's been a ghost the whole time, guys.
He's
You knew there was something suspicious about him. What else could it be? We know Riverdale has ghosts now.
To be fair, we've never seen Alice and Hal touch.
I wouldn't touch him if I were Alice, honestly.
I'm just saying. Just saying. All right, so I think that's a good note to end it on. Before we bounce out of here, Gabby, real quick, why don't you just let the listeners at home know where they can find the Nerd League and you anywhere on the internet, all that fun stuff.
So our main website is thenerdleague.com. That's where we post rants and recaps and fun stuff and interviews and whatever it is that I decide to do or other people. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at the Nerd League. And for some reason on Facebook at the Nerd League Online. And that's those are all the links to the thing.
You awesome. Guys just had a big interview with Charles Sewell, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we did. That was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, that was mostly headed by Rachel, our other head nerd. And we have Matt Murphy's top comics for 2018 that came out this week too. So
we gotta get him on this show.
Do we?
Yeah, do you? I don't know. It's easier. It's easier to keep Matt like below an R-rated if it's written, and then I can just take things out. But if it's edited,
yeah, you can edit him. Yeah. It's a lot of work to edit him on a podcast. Yeah.
But if you think you should invite him.
Oh, he'd have to start watching the show again. That's the problem.
I don't know. Let's get him in on that musical episode with Olivia and see what's up.
No.
Just let him go in. Just make him go in blind.
No.
But he's like not even watching Riverdale anymore, so.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he will. But he does watch The Magician, so if you guys get on The Magicians.
We get the Magician pals going. That's what we'll have to call him up. And then do you want to plug your personal Twitter or whatever?
Yeah, it's so complicated. But it's at G, and then my last name is Van Welie, which is short VANWELIE. So hopefully you're going to actually put links to that under this where we post
we'll throw a link in the description.
Yeah. I try to keep it professional, but that's the name that I was given. So
so if you guys want to follow Gabby's Twitter, you can get it down in the link down below, or you could always just write it down or something like that. I guess if you're an eagle-eared listener. So then, before we get out of here, I'll just tell you where you can find the show. Again, remember, if you want to write in here your thoughts right on the air, you can hit us up at thecomicspals@gmail.com. Follow at The Comics Pals wherever your social media is sold to let us know your thoughts on this episode of Riverdale, any of your theories, any of that stuff, any of your thoughts on what we had to say. You can also get us in the comments down below. If you're an audio listener, we would really appreciate it if you could give us a like on your platform of choice. Or if you really want to help out the show, you can jump over to Apple Podcasts, which is what they call iTunes now, and rate the show there. That is a huge help to helping the show get recognized. Same as said over at YouTube, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. It's really, really helpful for us to get some new eyes and ears on the show. So please do that. It would really be a great help to us. And if you don't check out our YouTube stuff, you're just usually an audio listener, bounce over there and give us a subscribe. If you have a Gmail account, you got a YouTube account. So help us out. We're real close to 100 subs. We've been trying to hit that for a couple weeks here. So go help us out. Give us the bump. And we'll catch you next week on another episode of the Riverdale Review. Now's the part where you say something, Cale.
You're not going to ask for the check? Are we sitting here for a while?
I thought you were going to do it. Oh, yeah, let's fine. Let's sit.
Did we ever sit because you interrupted it with your Veronica dream story?
We've been just standing in the lobby the whole time.
I mean, all right.
I don't think we ate today.
Let me confess. It was really weird seeing Veronica smooch on another dude this whole episode. I gotta say that.
It was hard for you?
It was.
After your dream.
It hurt a little bit.
All right. You know what, Pops? Why don't you bring us a couple of milkshakes? We're going to sit down and talk this one out.